For more than 20 years, Old School RuneScape has been this incredible digital world, right? Full of quests, monsters, and just so much grinding. But it's also been the backdrop for some of the wildest stories on the internet. Tales of fame, fortune, and some absolutely spectacular flameouts. So let's get into it. Let's trace the evolution of the game's biggest legends and the liars who hid among them.
Yeah, this quote right here, it absolutely nails what we're talking about today. It's the whole story in a nutshell. You've got the pure grind for glory on one side, and then you've got the slide into greed and controversy on the other. We're going to see how players shot for the stars and how some of them came crashing down.
All right, let's start at the beginning, back in what people call the golden age of RuneScape 2. Back then, fame was a pretty straightforward deal. You got famous by grinding harder than anyone else. That was it. Scandals? They were mostly just whispers, rumors you'd hear at the Grand Exchange.
And in that era, you had two absolute titans. On one side, you've got Zazima. I mean, come on, if you played the game back then, Zazima was the name, the undisputed poster child. And then there was Swoomy. He was famous for a totally different reason, a kind of dedication that was so extreme it was almost inhuman. Borderline scary, really.
And honestly, looking back now, the scandals from that time seem almost quaint. We're talking about unproven rumors of real-world trading, buying gold with real cash. Or maybe a top player was just a bit distant from the community. And of course, there was the whole culture of celebrating playing for 20 hours a day. This is our baseline, folks. And trust me, it's about to escalate big time.
Okay, so then came Twitch and YouTube, and the entire game changed. All of a sudden, being number one on the high scores wasn't enough, not even close. Now, you had to be an entertainer. You had to build a brand, live, in front of a huge audience you could actually make money from. It was a whole new world.
And this chart just lays it all out, plain and simple. You look at an old school RuneScape 2 YouTuber like Defil3D, he was massive for his time. But then you put him next to a modern streamer like Bodhi, it's not even in the same league. The sheer scale of fame just went through the roof.
Well, with bigger platforms, you get bigger and much more public problems. This is where that pressure to be an edgy entertainer for views smacks right into real-world consequences. We're not talking about quiet in-game cheating rumors anymore. We're talking about very public, very real controversies, like the streamer Odablock's transphobic comments in 2023. That wasn't some private mistake. It was broadcast live, and it started a massive firestorm that ended with his own team falling apart.
But look, bad behavior is one thing. The next level we're getting into is different. This is about players who didn't just mess up. This is about calculated deception, acts that were designed to fool everyone and, in the end, just shattered the community's trust.
One of the earliest and probably one of the most infamous cases of this was the YouTuber Defil. For years, he convinced the entire community he was a female player, which got him a ton of attention in a scene that was mostly guys. But, the truth has a way of coming out. Accusations started flying, another YouTuber even made a whole channel just to expose him, and eventually he had to admit it. He was a guy. He'd catfished the whole community for years.
Now, let's jump forward to a more modern case of alleged deception. Sirpugger. He built his entire brand on being the community's watchdog, the hero who busted all the bot farms in the game. But after a while, a question started bubbling up. Was this guy a genuine crusader, or was he a fraud?
So here's how it would usually go down, according to the critics. A supposed fan would conveniently tip him off. Then he'd show up and catch these bots that had really bizarre gear and were acting in ways that, well, just didn't make any sense. People started analyzing the videos saying, hold on, this looks a little too perfect, a little too staged. Sirpugger's defense? He just blames some anonymous source, which didn't exactly quiet things down.
So we've gone from in-game drama to real-world deception, but the story takes its darkest turn right here. This is where online infamy doesn't just stay online, it bleeds into the real world, into actual violent crime.
And just a quick heads up here, a content warning. The story of this next player is genuinely disturbing, and it does involve details of violent crime.
So let's talk about Tribrid. A lot of old school players first knew him as Kids Ranks, a celebrated PvP YouTuber from that golden age. A legend, really. But the person behind that online fame had a horrifying offline reality. A conviction for a school stabbing at just 16 years old, and then, many years later, allegations that he orchestrated a horrific acid attack before becoming an international fugitive.
This is just a chilling escalation. In 2022, he was accused of organizing a horrific acid attack on his ex-girlfriend and her child. He then fled the country and is reportedly wanted by Interpol. And if that's not already unbelievable, he actually resurfaced on TikTok in 2025, posting videos while he was still on the run. This is a terrifying line to cross, from in-game toxicity to real-world monstrosity.
So when you think about this whole journey we've been on, from Zazima's simple, celebrated grind, through the deceptions of Defeal3 and the questions around Sirpuggers, all the way to the criminal depths of Tribrid, what does this whole evolution of fame and scandal really tell us about the legacies we build for ourselves online?
Which really brings us to our final question. When a player's achievements in the game are tangled up forever with their actions in the real world, what is their true legacy? In a world that's built on pixels and the constant chase for clout, what's the thing that ultimately defines a legend? Their greatest accomplishments or their gravest sins?